Welcome to another edition of Tig's Bits. Today, I'm talking with Gary Moore with the Toledo Bend Lake Association. He goes over the history of the TBLA, what they do, and shares some mind-blowing numbers in regards to bass fishing. I really appreciate him taking the time to visit with us, especially as the pros were weighing in, which you can hear some of that in the background. I'd spent a few days at the Gamakatsu Bassmaster Elite Tournament, and I have to say, first of all, congratulations to Kaya Fujita on his victory in the century mark. Yes, sir, went over that 100 pounds in 4 days. That's awesome. It was a freaking awesome fishing derby. I have a lot of content from it. I have a lot of thoughts as well. Plus, I ate some amazing barbecue at Shannon's Butcher Block and the best fried catfish at Curtis Grocery, too. I'm going to break all of that stuff down. Hopefully, we'll have the boys back on later this week, and we'll talk about all of that. If you haven't subscribed to us where you're watching or listening to this, please do and share it. We're growing, and we're growing fast, and it's all because of you guys out there. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate Mr. Gary taking the time to visit with us and share some Toledo Bend facts that I bet you don't know. So let's get into that interview. I hope you enjoy it. I'm standing here with Mr. Gary Moore. He's with the Toledo Bend Lake Association.
Right.
And Gary, tell us a little bit about Toledo Bend. We're out here at the Bassmaster tournament, Bassmaster Elite, and the boys are weighing it in. We've already had 31 pounds come to the scale, but tell us what you do, Mr. Gary.
Well, through the Lake Association, we have a group of volunteers that for no pay whatsoever, just because they're passionate about the lake and the lake area. We try to make life better around the bend, is what we say. And that includes a lot of things. Some involve fishing and fish, and others not so much. We not known for the scholarships that we fund or the back-to-school supplies that we help make available for people that are having trouble with that. But there are things around the lake that people definitely know we do. When the buoy system was first put in, we helped fund those buoys on the Louisiana side.
Okay, yeah.
The lights that burn underneath the Pendleton Bridge so people can fish at night, we funded those originally. Back in 2005, 2006, we inherited the Toledo Bend Lunker program. And that's probably what we're most known for, at least in fishing circles. And that's a program where if anyone catches a fish, a bass that weighs 10.00 or larger, if they take it to one of 7 approved weigh stations that are located around the lake on both sides of the lake, Texas or Louisiana, weigh the fish, fill out our paperwork, turn the fish over to the people at the weigh station for them to release it alive back in the lake, and witness that fish swimming away, that person, that angler, earns a free fiberglass replica of their fish.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
Right.
I've always, that's one thing that has eluded me on this lake. I've come close several times, but I haven't got my 10, so I'm still wanting to get one of those.
I'm in the same club with you.
A lot of us are. A lot of us are in the same club. You may get one of those
possibly
this weekend.
Right. I'll be surprised if we don't because of the time of year and the weather and whatnot. But anyway, there's some interesting facts about that program. Well, first of all, Toledo Bend is a huge lake, as most people know, over 180,000 acres, 4th largest man-made lake in the country. And when you start trying to manage that fishery, and then when you split it down the middle between Louisiana and Texas, it gets sort of complicated. But Toledo Bend is a story of people working together from Texas and Louisiana, just the fact that it got built. And also the wildlife and fisheries, Texas Parks and Wildlife, they work a joint plan every year for managing the fisheries. And actually some people with the Toledo Bend Lake Association started advocating the stocking of Florida bass way back in 1992. The first fish were put in the lake. In 1985 were the first fingerlings put in the lake, and a few more were put in '88, I believe, or '89, and really in about '92, both states really started putting fish in on a regular basis.
Right.
And since that time, they've averaged over 1 million fingerlings a year,
Oh, wow.
which sounds like a lot, but when you put it again, go back to 186,000 acres, it's not so much, but it's been enough to make a difference. And how do we know that? Well, we started putting the fingerlings in '92, and the lake has produced 3 documented 15-pound or larger fish.
Wow.
The first fish was caught in 2000. The second fish was caught in 2009. And the third fish, which is the new lake record, was caught a year ago, almost to the day, in February of 23. And it weighed 15.67 pounds.
Wow.
Caught by a gentleman from Houston, Texas. His name is Bill Cook.
Okay.
An avid tournament fisherman on the lake. He caught that fish in a tournament. But if you do the math on how long it takes for these fish to grow to be that size, well, first of all, biologists will tell you that not many of them live long enough to do that.
Right.
But if they do, and if they're really healthy, for example, a 13-pound fish, now that they've really upped the level of study that they give to these fish when they're caught, particularly on the Texas side, they tell us that the average age is about 8 years for a 13-pound fish, which surprised me. I thought it would be a little longer, but from '92 to 2000, that's about eight years.
Yeah.
And we saw a 15-pounder show up, but we never had one in the lake before. And 10-pounders prior to 1992 were relatively rare, but we really don't have any documentation of how many were caught because there was no central program that kept track of that. But since '92, it's gotten a lot better because of what the Lunker program has done and the people that took care of it. Initially, it was actually managed by SRA.
Right.
They handed it off to Kurt Carver and Glenn Carver at Toledo Town for a few years, and they handed it off to the Lake Association in 2005-2006 season. And the records initially were kind of sparse. You know, we would see if you go back and look at the records, like 1 fish or 2 in the first year or 2.
Right.
And then a few the next year or 2. And then as the program started to get game notoriety and people started publicizing it more, and really when the Lake Association started managing and publicize it, really people started using the program. And it may be surprising, but since '92, we've documented, I believe it's 1,169 fish over 10 pounds.
Wow.
In the program. And
That's
since
crazy.
2005, those records are pretty certain the number is about 965.
Wow.
So
a lot of big fish here.
Yeah, and so that's pretty impressive, I think, to most people that fish.
Yeah.
But the other thing that's pretty impressive is the fact that we tag those fish, and we were hoping that they go back in the water, they live to reproduce and be caught again.
Right.
And does that happen? Absolutely. On a fairly typical year, we'll see 10% of the lunkers that are weighed in were previously caught and tagged.
Wow.
And we've had 1 fish that was caught 3 times. So, and we had 1 fish that was caught twice by the same angler in the same year.
Wow.
So some really, interesting things come to light when you start doing that. But clearly, we know that the program works just from that particular set of facts. And we're we're proud of what that program represents for Toledo Bend, and it's sometimes overwhelming when you think about all the tournaments and all the people fishing on the lake. How do we get people to a place where they can weigh them? And all these are independent store owners, bait shop owners on the lake, marinas that do it because they love the lake as well.
Right.
They get some publicity out of it, but that's really all they get, and they get the satisfaction of weighing and seeing those big fish.
That's right.
And we really appreciate their participation in that. And then we have it. It takes a lot of people to help raise the money to fund that program.
Right. That's right.
Those replicas are more than $500 a piece now.
Oh, wow.
And so we have a pretty sizable chunk of our budget that is allocated every year for that. And the largest number of fish in a lunker year, which we run May to May, was in the 15-16 season, I believe. We had 139 fish in 1 year.
That's crazy.
And we scratched our heads about why, but some of the biologists told us if you go back and look at what happened 3 or 4 years ago and what happened in 2010 or so on this lake, we had the worst drought we ever had.
Right.
The lake basically went down sub 10 feet for more than 2 years.
Right.
And everybody was really sort of in a bind. If you had a business on the lake, there were people that weren't coming. But the pain, I think, was probably worth the gain, because while everybody was suffering that wanted the lake to be full, all the trees and grass and plants and things that grew in that lake bottom basically generated the food to create a biomass like a new lake. In fact, they call it the new lake effect.
Okay.
And we got that. And you could see from 2010 the number of lunkers climb up to 139, and on the other side of that you could see them come down as that biomass was consumed by the lake. And we also went through sort of some tough times. We lost a lot of the grass in the lake, and the number came down in the 30s or 20s per year. But if you go back and look at the records, that's not the first time that it's ever happened, for sure.
Yeah.
And if you do the math on the numbers and the years, the average number per year is about 50, which is still a lot of fish.
Yeah.
And last year, we had a very impressive year. We had 57, and one of which was a lake record, over 15 pounds. We had one over 14. We had two over 13, in addition to the others. And so the lake is sort of on an uptick, and it's very healthy. And we've got some anglers that are beginning to figure out how to catch some of these fish without the grass. And they're finding them offshore, in open water. And with the new technology, the forward-facing sonar that's out there, they're figuring out how to catch them. And this year was proof of that in my mind.
Even today is proof of that.
No doubt.
Just what's going on at the top of the
Absolutely.
leaderboard. It's unbelievable that you can do that now. How the game has changed. But you can go out and you can target these fish that were never targeted before, because they're in 50 and 60 feet of water. You can find them with that forward-facing sonar and catch them. It's I expect to see the numbers continue to grow with lunkers, because a lot of these pick off of those fish that haven't been fished for a long time, or have never been fished, and so they're virgin fish in a sense.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's gonna just y'all gonna keep making a bunch of replicas.
Well, we hope so. I mean, that's our goal, because what makes people want to come to the lake are things like the chance to catch a 10-pound fish, a fish of a lifetime, and have a legitimate chance. And it's amazing where people come from to do that. And while some of us get tired of people coming and visiting, it's good for our local economy when they come.
That's right.
And I think in the long run, the good certainly outweighs the bad. And all of that goes to make life better around the bend, which is what we're all about.
That's exactly right. Well, Gary, that's a lot. I appreciate it. Look, Toledo Bend Lake Association, go out there, go catch you a 10-pounder. Go see this man. You go to one of the local weigh stations. Just tell everybody how, if you were to catch a 10-pound bass, what do you need to go do?
Okay. Well, first you've got to go to a weigh station, and we do have pamphlets around the lake that say where those weigh stations are, but we have two in Louisiana. One is at Living the Dream Guide Service. One is down at it's not Big Bass. I'm gonna mess this up now. We'll start over on this.
Buckeye.
Yeah, at Buckeye Landing. And on the Texas side, we have a place at Fin and Feather. We also have one that's just off the water down at Fairmount Store. We have one at Keith's Tackle on Highway 21 just before you come across the lake. And we have one at Holly Park. And there is one north at Huxley, but they're going through, I think, a change up there. So probably more, and it's not likely. Most of these fish are caught on the southern end of the lake. So
yeah,
those are the ones that where the weigh station goes. But you take the fish there. It's got to be alive. You need to take care of it in your live well. Don't haul it around all day if you can help it. Go immediately to one of those sites. Take it in a weigh-in bag with water into the facility. Get them to weigh the fish. They'll measure it. They'll tag it. They'll put it back in the bag. They'll go out there with you. They'll turn it loose with you.
Nice.
So that's all it takes.
Awesome. Well, hey, y'all get up here. Come fish. Come catch you one. Thanks, man.
Thank you.